Welcome to a bonus edition of Behind the Mic with AudioFile Magazine. I'm Joe Reed. Today it's our Who's Listening feature, where we talk with authors, narrators, and others about how and why they listen to audiobooks. My guest today is actor Courtney B. Vance, whose shelves are lined with awards: 2 Emmys, a Tony, a Critics' Choice Award, and several NAACP Image Awards. He's also a dedicated audiobook listener and occasional narrator. Nominated for a Grammy for his performance of Neil deGrasse Tyson's Accessory to War. Vance's latest project is a monumental one, narrating historian David Levering Lewis's 2-volume Pulitzer Prize-winning biography of W.E.B. Du Bois, the scholar, activist, and co-founder of the NAACP who helped shape the American Civil Rights Movement. The first volume, W.E.B. Du Bois' Biography of a Race, 1868 to 1919, was published in 1993. And the second, W.E.B. Du Bois, The Fight for Equality and the American Century, 1919 to 1963, followed in 2000. Now, more than 2 decades later, both volumes have finally been recorded by Courtney B. Vance, over 65 hours of audio in all. Vance captures Du Bois with both authority and heart. You feel the weight of his ideas and the man behind them. But it's a recording that might never have happened if Courtney B. Vance hadn't picked up the phone and called author David Levering Lewis.
I've had the book for 30 years, waiting for somebody to do what we've done. I just tracked him down, Professor David Levering Lewis, and I asked him, why isn't there an audio version? And he said, well, Courtney, there was none back then. He said, but what are you saying, Court? Do you want to do it? I said, that's not why I called you, but yeah, let's do it. And that's how it happened.
This is the first time that the 2 volumes of David Levering Lewis's Pulitzer Prize-winning biography of W.E.B. Du Bois has been available as audiobooks. So as an audiobook, this is going to open up Du Bois's life and legacy, not just to a new audience, but to a new generation. How do you think this work speaks to a contemporary audience?
Joe, what folks were going through, what Black folks were going through in W.E.B. Du Bois's time, we're going through now. And what can you learn? I mean, and people going through it will go like I did. Oh my goodness, look at this! What this is happening now, and recognize that this man needs to be lifted up. I recognize the seeds of our emancipation, our freedom, our liberty, our minds being freed are right in our hands. And a lot of it has to do with just reconnecting with our past, reconnecting that we are a great people. And W.E.B. Du Bois, he was a voice of encouragement for an entire generation or two because of his longevity, living to be 95. So he's an inspiration to a new generation, just like he was an inspiration to that generation. And we need to look back to W.E.B. Du Bois that shaped who we are as a great people.
How did you feel to know that your voice would be the one bringing David Levering Lewis's monumental work to a new generation of listeners?
This is our opportunity to lift up not only W.E.B. Du Bois, but Professor David Levering Lewis. He wrote the book years ago. He told me, Joe, he said, my children have never read my books. You know, he's got grown children because they're so big. He said, maybe my children will now, because of you, Court, listen to, my books. And it's such a gift to give to him. That's what I feel. I'm giving him, who's given to us so much. I'm giving to him something back, and it just it's probably it will be one of the greatest things that I've done in my life.
The book is monumental. I mean, it's 2 volumes, and volume 1 covers the first half of Du Bois's life, and it was a turbulent period from just after the Civil War until just after World War I. And David Levering Lewis presents a tremendous amount of information that you have to narrate very lucidly. Can you tell me how you approach this?
Christina Rooney, who was my director, and she was my director on Neil deGrasse Tyson's. I approach it as I'm a blank canvas, and as I'm reading, I'm learning, and she helps me making sure I've got the everything is tight, the enunciation, the pronunciation, just the sense of the sentence structures. Then there's certain times where she and I were reading with the engineer, and we just have to stop for like 10, 15 minutes. And can you imagine what we just read? I mean, and so the engineer has to go, okay, Courtney, Christine, let's get back. And we only do 20 pages, 23 pages a day because it's so dense. As you said, Joe, the material is so dense. And, so I approached it as a reader approaches it. I only read up to what we were going to be doing because I knew we were only doing 25 pages a day. So I read the next 25 pages, and I'm completely surprised by where I'm going. So it was very exciting for me because I've had it with me, as I said, for 30 years. I chose not to, okay, let me read it all. And then, no, I want to be surprised by where I'm going. David Levering Lewis is masterful, but his sentence structure and syntax is different. It doesn't always work in my mouth. So I really have to, let me try that again. Well, let me go, wow. Oof. Let me get up and shake myself and come back. I mean, the words start to blur at times, and Christina would say, okay, Court, let's take a break, go out, get a cup of tea, come back, let's hit it again. Or yeah, I hear something in your voice, you coming down with something, we got to stop because the voice has got to match. So bye bye, we'll take a few days off. So it's a collaboration. And I've said I only want to really work with her because she helps me get to where we all need to be, and that's a gift. And so, I mean, every question I had about W.E.B, she was able to answer.
You mentioned collaboration and acting in theater and TV and film, which you've done. And yes, they're very different media for an actor, but they're also deeply collaborative. Audiobooks, it's a little bit less so. You had a director to work off of, but it really is a lot down to you and the text. You have no one to play off of, no one to react to. And I wonder if you can describe how you had to adjust to that experience.
I like to do books where there's very few voices that I have to do and mostly narration. And so I find that it is intensely collaborative still because I can't hear myself. I don't know how I sound in the context of the sentence that needs to be conveyed because it's got to be right. That I've got to be able to convey the sense of what the author meant. And sometimes I don't feel that I have, and I have to ask, did I get that right? Did you understand it? She said, let's try it again. So it is still very collaborative because it is me and the book and the mic. And if you don't have a great director, they may let me get away with, and then the reader goes, oh, I don't understand. He's dropping the ends of his lines. So, if you don't have someone who catches all those things, who understands the entire thing and what we're setting up the second half of the next chapter. So we've got to lift up this sentence and drop it down into the end of the paragraph. Ah, got it. Let's do it again. So everyone needs someone to be able to help them, so that we end up in the right place where we go, bam, soft touch at the end, and the music swells. Thank you for listening to Audible.
And you're an audiobook listener yourself, aren't you?
Everything I do is audiobooks. Everything. And I only really like to listen to biographies. And I like big ones. Big. I just got through reading Ron Chernow's Twain. And I've had books for years. I got to get back to Einstein's biography. I got to get back to Da Vinci. I've got those two. I've got to, but I said I want to do J. Edgar Hoover's first. So I finished. So I just whenever the spirit moves me, and sometimes I put them down and pick them back up. It just gives me a sense of history. It's just just opportunity to just expand. Just gives me perspective. This has happened before. That's why I read. So it gives me perspective.
These volumes involve such a commitment from you to this material. And I wonder what you're hoping this new generation, this new audience will take from this biography of W.E.B. Du Bois.
They'll realize that there's the seeds of what they need to do are right here, that they have everything they need. You get the book, read yourself, find out who you are, find out where you are, find out patterns. And at the same time, it gives yourself something positive to do. Get off that social media. Put that down for a while and you go on a journey yourself. Stop letting other people give you what they think their experience is. Read the book and get a sense of your own history and your own past and your own future.
Your narration is really extraordinary, of this extraordinary book that, as I said, I've had this on my shelf for quite some time, and it really is so lucid and so clear and so engaging, and I really thank you for it.
Oh, thank you so much, Joe. Thank you so much. That warms my heart as in hearing David Levering Lewis say how happy he is makes me just, I'm beyond excited and beyond moved. And as I said, it will be one of the things that when I look back on my career, I'll say that right there was one of my greatest successes, to bring David Levering Lewis back up and W.E.B. Du Bois.
The timing is perfect, so thank you.
Thank you.
That was award-winning actor Courtney B. Vance. He recently recorded David Levering Lewis's two-part biography of W.E.B. Du Bois. The first volume, W.E.B. Du Bois, Biography of a Race, 1868 to 1919, came out in June. And the second, W.E.B. Du Bois, The Fight for Equality and the American Century, 1919 to 1963, has just been released. Check out the print edition of AudioFile magazine, where we'll feature Courtney B. Vance and his thoughts about audiobooks. Don't forget to follow Behind the Mic wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a rating. It really does help people who love audiobooks to find us. I'm your host, Joe Reed. Good listening.